Hello everyone. Today we are going to try out Supersymmetry. Unlike other modpacks, we do not randomly materialize in some random area in the middle of the nature. We materialize inside a landing pod, which will land in the middle of the nature. With us we have some food rations and an ore scanner. We can use it right away to see that minerals here spawn in spherical veins. Anyways, before the sun sets we have to try to do as much progress towards torches as we can. To do that, the first thing we need to find is gravel, which is easy to find by scouting water bodies. Once we have gathered some flint, we can start working with it. The first thing we are going to do with it is nap it on stone to obtain some flint shards. Next, we use it for breaking some branches out of a tree. We use these two items for making a flint knife, which we can use to harvest some plant fiber out of grass. And we work that into some plant string, which will allow us to get our first tool, an hatchet. Now that we can finally chop down trees, we can gather some wood and resin from our rubber tree. We are going to use the wood for a crafting table so that we can make our first reika tool, a pickaxe. We need it for gathering stone for making the second reika tool, but in this mod pack there are dozens of different substrate stones, some of which can't be used for making basic stuff like furnaces. So we move until we find some vanilla cobblestone. Once we have gathered enough, we can make a furnace and smelt the rest. And once we have the stone, we realize we miss some other stuff, and that it is almost night. So, we pick up our stuff and make some torches with the resin we collected while looking for stone. We want to put the night time to good use, so we shall quickly locate a copper vein and go spend the night mining it. Nights are really dark here, but we have torches, so it's not an issue. And, exactly when we started digging a tunnel to a copper deposit, a zombie landed from the sky to attack us. Anyways, we run away and then we start our mining expedition. And, after not much digging, we quickly find some ores. But we are quickly reminded that flint pickaxes have really low durability. So we start working some gravel to obtain a couple more of flints, which we are going to use with the stone made earlier on to obtain our second reika tool, a mortar, which we can use to turn gravel into flint in a way easier way. Now that we have flint, we should probably check the quests and do a bunch of them. To make progress, we need flint shards, however, it looks like we can't nap them on weird rocks, so we cook some vanilla stone. And it looks like we can't nap even on normal stone. And that is because we have to click on the top side. So, we make a bunch of the superior pickaxes to expose it. Now that we have flint shards, we can craft the quest tools. Since these appear to be worse than reika ones, we just use them for digging a hole where we can drop them. Then we make more reika tools and we mine some chalcopyrite which will give us copper. And it appears that we do not get copper ingots out of that ore. And that's because that was not chalcopyrite but chloropatite. Anyways, the first night passed, so we shall go find for a place where we can settle our industry. After some traveling, we have found a cool looking biome full of colorful flowers that will make us look less like depressed nerds. We drop down our crafting table and our furnace, then, since our inventory is full, we make a bunch of chests. For the start, we shall have one chest for plant-based stuff, one for stone-based stuff and one for tools. And since this place doesn't have enough vegetation, we plant a bunch of rubber trees. Next, we can start cleaning some area for our industry. And thus we finished the second day. We shall spend then next night mining some chalcopyrite, not chloropatite. Thanks to the scanner we are given, we can quickly locate it and then start digging for it. And there we have it. However, since the night is long, we shall also dig a bit deeper. Instead of limiting to bedrock, we can go deeper into the underneath dimension, which is basically 250 more layers of rocks and ores. And even tough, it has some interesting stuff. We don't need that for the moment, so we go back to the overworld. And thus we are now at the third day. And we are finally going to obtain copper ingot. However, on its own it has no uses, so we are going to dig some cassiterite ore for tin. And, on our way to cassiterite, we found some redstone. Luckily our flint pick can mine that out of the way. Then, after one more layer of coal, we found cassiterite. And I would like to stop for a moment so that you can admire how many minerals you can easily find and mine in this pack. Once we cooked enough cassiterite for the tin quest and chalcopyrite for the copper one, we can use a mortar to pulverize these into dusts and mixing them into bronze. The first use for it shall be a better mortar, so that we can make more of it. Then we make a hammer, which we use for making a mining hammer, so that we can mine more materials for making a decent amount of bronze in no time. We can use that resources for making a lot of ingots and some new mining hammers, so that we can gather all the minerals and stone we will need for our base. And this is our loot. While we refine it, we realize that, currently, our base is just a bunch of furnaces under the rain. And while that looks nice and immersed in the nature, we can't have machines under the rain. So we shall start working on our basement. While making it, we are also going to collect some useful rocks such as limestone and other less useful ones that can still be used as building rocks. After cooking these, we can work them into better looking blocks from stones. Now the real issue is deciding which one to use for making our base. But that's something that always happens in every pack. This run, we are going to use ISM 3, 2 and 1. Now that we have a nice looking base, we can finally start making the usual tools so that the gregification can start. But we must also remember to touch grass. Now we have quite a bunch of tasks to complete. But, before starting to make machinery, we need a better crafting table. This GregTech workbench can pull stuff from nearby chests, has internal storage, recipe memorization and dedicated tool slots. Next, we are going to need some buckets. The first ones have to be made by manually working in world clay blocks into buckets. So, since we can't craft clay blocks, we go find some and then work it from block to vessel to bucket using a clay tool. And then we make 3 more. Finally, we cook them to obtain ceramic buckets. Now that we have buckets, we can quickly work all the way towards our first primitive blast furnace. And we also prepared a coke oven at the same time. And here we have the both of them. The coke oven is going to be used mainly for creosote oil. Meanwhile, the blast furnace is required for making our fist iron. It will also make steel. While the first iron ingot is cooking, we shall dig some magnetite, which has a higher iron yield. However, the blast furnace won't produce directly iron, it will make pig iron. We have to hammer it down into wrought iron in a crafting table to turn that into wrought iron, which is better than vanilla iron. However, since some recipe require vanilla iron, we have to cook the wrought out of it. Next we are going to put that again inside a blast furnace to obtain steel. This is going to be the basic foundation for our industry, but I think this is a good time for closing that episode. Bye bye.